the British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com.
A warm welcome to Blyton Park in Lincolnshire for the penultimate round, round 8 of the 2013 British Superlite Championship. Tony Turner is the fastest man in qualifying for the 650 class and starts on pole position with Phil Redfern and Jake Swan on the front row. Ian Biswell on row 2 with Anthony Jackson and Paul Hudson. On row 3 is Joe Walton with Tim Page and Gordon Knox. On row 4 is Sadie Redfern with Wayne Stockbridge and Danny Kerwood. On row 5 is Andrew Crombie with Michael Bradbury and Paul Smythe completing the lineup then. So the drivers on the grid ready to get going for this one, and away they go, Luke.
Yeah, we've got a non-starter there. That's number 88, Andrew Crombie, at the side of the track, so he's not managed to get off the grid, but the man who gets the best of it getting away from the grid is out front there. That's Tony Turner in the number 84 Superlight ahead of Jake Swan in the 110 Superlight second place, Phil Redfern in third, and Paul Hudson or possibly Anthony Jackson there in fourth place. Number 41 Anthony Jackson, but Tony Turner getting a great start, Chris, and he needs to try and hold on to this ahead of Jake Swan, and there's a bit of dirt here, so Jake not the best on the looser stuff, always better on the tarmac, so it'll be interesting to see whether Tony can stay ahead now. There's number 100 just getting onto the circuit. That's Michael Bradbury. So Michael's starting from the pits, so maybe some problems for him.
He's really, challenging the drivers. Tony Turner, of course, seems to have got the best of it. You see him get the power down wheel spinning with the rear wheels there in the dirt. Number 88,
Andrew Crombie, he actually seemed to start in that position from the start-finish line, sort of facing the wrong way, and he's got off the track there and got in a bit of a muddle again.
Maybe it's his go faster starting system where he just puts his wheels out of line, floors it, and then straightens up. I don't know, but still with wing mirrors full of Jake Swan is Tony Turner out in front, and to be fair, driving a very sensible race here, really covering his lines. Phil Redfern there, Anthony Jackson, it's Ian Biswell from Paul Hudson there in this battle as they come up here, having a look at Paul Hudson, and he's really had a good season as Paul Hudson this year, and well, let's see what he can do here, challenging Ian Biswell. Good to see Ian in the mix here as well.
Yeah, we said earlier on in this season how Paul Hudson had a really good round at Finmere. We've said it before. That's where he sort of first stood out and came to our attention. He just was immaculate on the big dirt section at Finmere, and there's quite a substantial dirt section here as well at Blyton, so it'll be interesting to see how Paul gets his eye in at this place over the course of the day. But that's number 69 at the moment. That's Tim Page just coming under the attentions of Joe Walton there a little bit further down the field. I think those two battling. That's number 92. Yeah, Joe Walton just battling with Tim Page.
I think he's done it up the inside. Goes Joe Walton. So a great. I didn't think he quite did it as he'll vanish into the distance. And number 88 pulling up again there. So a lap later, almost the same thing happening to Andrew Crombie.
Tony's always tidy when he's out front, and it has to be said that if he is out front, he doesn't tend to make too many mistakes, to be fair, does he?
Well, one of the criticisms, I suppose, I have to put it like that I've always said about Tony is he spends too much time looking behind him in his wing mirrors to see where the challenge is coming from. It does mean he drives very defensively, but sometimes I feel that he'd have the pace if he just got on with his race and got out there, because obviously he set the qualifying pace in his own right. He's quick out there. He doesn't need to be concerned about who's behind him.
Yeah, it's a fair point that, and he is definitely quick, but as we've said earlier, Jake Swan's been quick on the largely tarmac surfaces, but this is his battle again between number 69 Tim Page and number 92 Joe Walton. Joe's not been able to find the key to unlock the door that is making a pass on Tim Page, and as I say, that Tim Page runs wide and Joe just sneaks through the gap. Thank you very much.
I think he actually unlocked it and opened the door for him, but actually this time Joe going wide, Tim Page coming back, and Joe spun it 180. He's facing the wrong way. Well, he looks pretty disconsolate there as
that's him.
The rest of the drivers coming past. I think that was Sadie Redfern actually making a pass there as Tony Turner really coming under pressure from Jake here.
Last flag there, Chris. Yep.
He's out, and can he do enough here? Absolutely all over the back wheel of Tony Turner is Jake Swan here.
Tony Turner, can he hang on for one more lap here and get a win against Jake Swan? Jake Swan certainly hanging on to the back of Tony Turner's rear bumper there. And to be fair, Jake Swan, he's been very, very sensible and fair in terms of his braking. He's not been doing the old rubbing his racing routine and pressuring Tony Turner by just doing the back end tapping, but Tony's pulled a bit of a gap there now, Chris.
No, I mean, Jake's such a clean driver, to be fair. You know, he's really into a non-contact sport, you know, through his powerboat racing that he does as well, and very successfully too, I may add. But no, I mean, Jake, you know, it sounds like quite ironic to say he really is in pole position to take this championship. He doesn't need to get past Tony, but he's certainly looking like he wants to, let's put it like that. Going very, very wide, trying to get the power down early and get the long run down these very long straight here at Blyton. Tony having a look exactly where Jake is coming from, and has Jake got the slipstream? Can he get up the inside? He can't at the moment. It looks like it's Tony Turner, Luke.
Yeah, Tony Turner taking the win in 650 race number 1, and I think maybe, Chris, we talked about this earlier, is that the first time Tony's beaten Jake?
I think that could well be, and he's going to be absolutely delighted with that, pulling over. And well, I'm not sure how full of dirt his goggles were there, but very quick to get rid of them. The official results then for 650 Superlight race 1, a brilliant win for Tony Turner. Well under pressure though from Jake Swan in second place. Phil Redfern takes third ahead of Anthony Jackson, Paul Hudson, Tim Page, Ian Biswell, Sadie Redfern, Danny Kerwood and Gordon Knox, the top 10 of the 650 classification. So plenty of action in 650 race number 1. Then let's get down to the paddock for reaction with the drivers from that one.
Well done. Solid third place for you. How are you finding the track today?
Good, yeah, it's fast, very fast. Hairpin's a bit of a struggle for me, but I knew Jake got the jump on the start, and I managed to keep up with him for the first couple of laps, but I knew I'd got the wrong tyres on. And then I felt a huge vibration, and the drive belt, half of it delaminated, so I was lucky to finish, so I'm quite happy with third.
Well done, and you had Anthony Jackson behind you, but he was so busy battling with Paul Hudson, I think they forgot about you, so you got lucky there.
I could see him now and again, and then after that he must have dropped back a little bit, so I'm quite pleased for that.
Right, well, best of luck for race 2 anyway, well done.
Thank you.
And Jake, second place for you, this is a bit unusual.
Well, I qualified third, so I can't really complain up to second, and hopefully work my way forward if Tony lets up a bit. Might be able to get it first, but we'll see how it goes.
Bit of chivalry shown there at the end anyway, so what was that all about?
I was just pushing hard, trying to get by, but that's how it goes, isn't it?
Excellent. You gave him a bit of a nudge back to the pits as well, which is nice of you.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about, innit? You've got to look after each other.
Well done, Jake. Best of luck for race number 2.
Thank you very much.
And Tony, well done. First place for you. You're going to keep that going all day?
Yeah, that's my first race win this year. I've had really good consistent races, but I've never actually won a race. So when I got out in front on first corner, I was on it. I knew Jake would be pushing me. He had some good tyres on, but I got away, I held my line, and I'm absolutely ecstatic for that. It's taken a while this year. Been really, really close, but to beat Jake and a good field out there. There's a real strong field of 650s out there today, so I'm really chuffed.
Well, a sneak peek of what's coming up next then. That's the Open Superlight Race 1. Duncan Macbeth, the fastest man in qualifying, goes in pole position on the front row with Phil Lee and Colin Griffiths. On row 2 is Simon Nutter with Charlie Wellborn and Danny Whitney. And Ken Walton, Alan Henley and Paul McNamara go off the third row.
So here we go then, Dave Dearden just on the front of the grid, pointing the drivers to the starting lights. They all look up to their left, and their right rather, and our left, and I think that's the man in first place to the first turn. The usual suspect, Duncan Macbeth, gets the whole shot with Phil Lee in second place and Colin Griffiths in third. We've seen these three having some fantastic battles over the course of this season, Chris. No doubt this one's going to be pretty epic too.
Yeah, riding on board with Colin Griffiths there. He's got a great view here of Phil Lee, power sliding his way into the corner and losing a bit of pace there as Duncan Macbeth gets away. And I've got to say, Duncan Macbeth, the only driver in this competition that's actually not missed around yet. So he's done every single race and well on his way to taking the British Championship, I would say, by the end of this round, out in front. And that's certainly the way to go for him.
Phil Lee's making it his business to just harass Duncan Macbeth mercilessly in order to try and keep this championship alive. But well, Duncan's got out very wide there, yeah, and he's missed the drive. Phil Lee's up the inside, I think, there, Chris. He is.
Incredible moving. You just see how much debris hits the front of these Superlights from the onboard camera. We're riding with Colin Griffiths, and I think he too is past Duncan Macbeth. So, while he's lost 2 places there, Duncan, he can afford to lose a few points in this round.
Phil, that's number 67, Paul McNamara, just rejoining. He's struggling a little bit, but managing to get himself back onto the tarmac. Now Colin Griffiths just having a quick look up the inside. I think that was more to just give Phil Lee something to think about, to try and distract him into maybe outbraking himself. But Phil Lee's a wily fox, so I don't think he'd be fooled by that one so easily.
Yeah, the silver fox, I suppose you could call him. Phil Lee out in front, but Colin Griffiths really chasing here and really on the back wheels. And to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few little love taps between these two.
Yes, Colin Griffiths, also to be fair, Colin's pretty clean, but he's definitely a little bit more aggressive perhaps than Duncan Macbeth. Duncan Macbeth tends to be slightly more conservative with the small C than Colin Griffiths. Colin Griffiths chucks it into the corners with the sort of fast in and fast out mentality, whereas Duncan maybe a little bit more slow in, fast out. And again, that opportunity to try and squeeze up the inside, but Colin Griffiths not quite managing to make it stick there.
It's just so hard to get the power down on that section as you switch from asphalt onto the dirt section, trying to get the power down, stop your back wheel spinning, make sure you've got enough torque in the vehicle to pull you out there, and well, just pulling a little bit of a gap there at the moment.
Yeah, Phil Lee definitely getting the drive over Colin Griffiths down the straight there. Phil just seemed to just kick up through the gears, and a little bit more torque maybe coming through his machine. But there's the 56 machine, that's Danny Whitney just coming under a little bit. That's number 74, that's Charlie Wellborn, looking for a gap that perhaps, to be fair, wasn't there.
Well, yeah, Charlie doing well to keep out of the way of the other Superlights in contention there. And it looks like, we're riding on board with Colin Griffiths. As he slowed right down, it looks like he's got a problem here, Luke.
Yes, Colin Griffiths gone from second place, dropping down the field, and the other guy's just steaming past him. Colin pulling off the circuit, and I'm not sure whether he's going to cruise back to the pits and just trying to stay off the track to be safe, but he's adjusting his mirrors to make sure he can see everybody else coming past him. But Colin Griffiths, you're right, Chris, definitely with a serious problem that looks to have put paid to his race.
Oh, what a shame, and it looks like another excursion for Paul McNamara there. There is Colin Griffiths, and I'm not sure where he's going.
Taking a shortcut back to the pits by the looks of things.
Going round to the checkered flag. Danny Whitney, number 56, and just on a race of his own, he's of course battling with the championship with Mark Weld for third place in the championship with Mark Richardson. Mark Richardson not here today, so that's going to help Danny, no doubt, and he's had a good season as well.
Yeah, Danny, another one who's always gone well on the tarmac, but not necessarily as much of a fan of the rougher stuff, and there's a fair bit of it here round at Blyton. And you wonder whether some of these guys set these Superlights up for the tarmac a little bit stiffer, and then when they get on the dirt section, having been a bit stiffer for the tarmac, they're not quite as easy to handle on the dirt.
Well, whether it was set up, I don't know, but having driven that Superlight around Carroll Park, I found it very, very spongy, actually. I didn't find I expected it to be a lot stiffer, set up for the tarmac, and it wasn't, but maybe that's just the ride of these Superlights. Perfect for conditions like this, but I think, to be fair, Danny struggling a little bit with a bad back over the last few years, so probably does like a little bit of damping in there.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. A little bit more sort of movement in the suspension will give him a slightly smoother ride, especially over the rough stuff. But again, that would make sense then. The rough stuff, if you've got a bad back, it's not going to be particularly comfortable. Last lap flag is out there for number 74, Charlie Wellborn, so that means Phil Lee's probably about halfway round, and I'm about right, because there he is, he's going over the dirt section, and Duncan Macbeth is actually managing to get a little bit closer and keep the pressure on. Phil Lee chucking it sideways into that left-hander as he comes off the dirt section onto the tarmac dirt section, because there's so much dirt carried over onto that tarmac bit that it's a bit of both, really, to be fair.
Nice, and a nice blue groove emerging as well there. So Phil Lee, with 2 corners remaining, out of that double apex, getting the power down. Duncan Macbeth in his wing mirrors, and I think Phil even having a cheeky look there to see exactly where he was. Not quite sure where the turning in point is, but he power slides his way across the line to take the win then for Open Superlight Race 1. Brilliant race win for Phil Lee. It was all going on. It wasn't easy for him, but in the end, actually, it turned out to be probably more straightforward than he expected. Phil Lee, the race winner then of Open Superlight Race 1. Duncan Macbeth takes second place in the end. Danny Whitney bags third ahead of Charlie Wellborn, Simon Nutter, Alan Henley, Paul McNamara, Colin Griffiths and Ken Walton. 9 drivers in Open Superlight Race number 1. So great race in Open Superlight Race number 1, and an awesome race for Tony Turner in 650 Superlight Race number 1 too. Phil Lee, of course, taking the spoils in the Open class. Let's see how they get on in Race 2 after this break.
The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com. The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com.
Welcome back to Blyton. It's 650 Superlight race number 2. Tony Turner on the front row in pole position again with Jake Swan and Phil Redfern. On row 2 is Anthony Jackson. Paul Hudson and Tim Page. On row 3 is Ian Biswell with Sadie Redfern and Danny Kerwood. On row 4, Gordon Knox with Joe Walton and Wayne Stockbridge in P12. On row 13 is Michael Bradbury with Paul Smythe and Andrew Crombie.
Excellent job there fitting all those drivers in. We've got a full grid here today at Blyton for race number 2 in the 650 class. Race director Dave Dearden points them to the starting lights. Tony Turner looking to try and make it 2 out of 2 in terms of fantastic starts, but he may have to wait a while. But finally the lights do go out and he looks across to see how everybody else is doing. We can see there that I think Jake Swan had left his Superlight on the centre green there, Chris. Jake Swan's not made the start. He's had a problem with his Superlight. We can see Jake there just climbing out of the front of his Superlight. So Jake Swan's missed the start, chucked his steering wheel on the roof, and he's looking to see what's going on. And I think if I remember rightly, Jake's got 2 Superlights, so he may actually leg it back to the... He's legging it back to the pits to go and jump in his other Superlight. So this is going to be... This is going to be interesting to see where he actually finishes. So they'll get that Superlight out of the way. Here's the rest of the guys sort of at the other end of the circuit, and Jake will leg it back to the pits, jump in the other Superlight, and some sort of Super Schumacher type manoeuvres from the back of the grid to see what he can do.
Well, Phil Redfern's out too as well, and he's got problems. Is he going to do the same? This is a completely new sport. Jake Swan
in his second
some sort of
Superlight.
triathlon here. He's jumped out of his Superlight, he's ran back to the paddock, he's got his second vehicle, and now he's going to have another bite of the cherry. He's a lap down. This is going to be phenomenal if he can make any impression in this race, but full credit to that man. Absolutely unprecedented.
Does he get extra points for doing the 800-metre dash?
It's madness, it really is, but well done to him for having a go. Now, what we've not said, Tony Turner out in front again. He qualified in pole position. He topped the Super Pole for this class as well. He started on the front row in race 1. He started on the front row again for race 2. Just a great effort from Tony Turner here. We're now going through the chicane and up over the top of this ski jump then, as we're looking at Anthony Jackson having a battle with 113 Ian Biswell then, as the two go over here. And I'm not quite sure who we're riding on board with actually. It was the driver just ahead of them.
Yeah, that's number 41, Anthony Jackson, and you were right, that's 113 Ian Biswell, and the man there who is in front of them that's not Phil Redfern. That could be number 69?
Oh, it's Tony Turner, the race leader, who's just pulled off the track. Can you believe it? Tony Turner is, he looks like he's got problems, and he actually holds his helmet with his hands. And
Tony Turner chucks his steering wheel out.
He's well and truly out of the pram
That's
there.
a metaphorical dummy coming out the front of Tony Turner's Superlight, and you've got to sympathise with him there, because Jake Swan, he's seen that Jake Swan's not made the start, and he's just chucked the steering wheel out there, because that must be an absolute gutter, because Tony Turner, an opportunity to try and keep the pressure on Jake Swan for this championship, and he's had a mechanical problem as well alongside Jake, so an absolute nightmare for Tony Turner. He'll be inconsolable.
Well, it looks like he's just bent over on that Superlight, crying his eyes out.
I think he's looking for the self-destruct button there.
Yeah, he might have been looking for the nut that he probably threw out the Superlight with his steering wheel there to fasten it back on. But Ian Biswell there having a real challenge here, coming over the ski jump. It's all going on in this. I mean, don't forget, it's upsetting, of course, for Tony Turner, but Jake is at the back here. Phil Redfern's pulled out as well. So, in terms of the championship, all is still not lost. It's really interesting, this race, in terms of championship and points and positions here. Anthony Jackson's still going, though, number 41.
Yeah, Anthony Jackson in the number 41 machine is now in third place, and Ian Biswell in 113 is in second. Number 69 is Tim Page. He's in fourth. Sadie Redfern in fifth, and Joe Walton in sixth. So these guys, due to the various mechanical failures that have gone on ahead of it, you just see there was a shooting Jake Swan in the back of that shot. He went tearing up the back of the dirt section behind these guys. So that's Sadie Redfern now, and I think Sadie's got herself up to help me out a bit, Chris. She's in fifth place now, Sadie Redfern, so 55 in fifth, ahead of number 92, and that's Joe Walton in sixth place at the moment. So these guys are in with a shout of the podium if we continue to have the war of attrition and mechanical failures that's gone on so far. And to be fair, these Superlights are normally super reliable, so all sorts of problems for these guys. There'll be a lot of head scratching going on in the pits after this race.
Yeah, well, I mean, the open class, you know, they're a little bit more, I suppose in some ways, a little bit more basic. They haven't got the gearbox to go wrong with them.
Yeah, but that's number 4, and Paul Hudson has found himself in first place again, something he did quite a lot at Finmere. And we said, Chris, great in the dirt section, and Paul Hudson's taken a win in 650 race 2. Brilliant performance from him.
A fantastic win for Paul Hudson. And to say it was a little bit lower down the field in race number 1, he's come through and just been consistent there to bag himself the race win for 650 race number 2, ahead of Ian Biswell in second place, Anthony Jackson taking third ahead of Tim Page, Joe Walton, Sadie Redfern, Danny Kerwood, Wayne Stockbridge, Michael Bradbury and Andrew Crombie. Great to see such a good grid for 650 Superlight race number 2. So let's get down to paddock 4 reaction then. Vicky's got the drivers down there. Let's see what they've got to say for themselves.
Well, that was a fun race out there. Everything happened. How did you find it?
Yeah, well, it's quite eventful. Yeah, you know, sort of Jake sort of pulled out on the line, and then sort of, you know, managed to sort of go round, and then Tony sort of pulled out, so it left me in a good position, and I sort of left the door open for Ian here, who sort of come back up, and so yeah, so I ended up in third, which is not bad. I feel like I could have done better, but it's a better position than what I started in. So yeah, sort of pleased with that. It was good.
Well done. It was an excellent result and we enjoyed watching it. Ian, it's not seen you in the top 3 for a while, and I'm happy to see you, I've got to say.
It's mainly because I haven't been since round 3. Been having a bit of a break. But yeah, good race, good fun.
What brings you back this weekend then?
Just fancied getting out and having some fun, and fit enough to do it. So yeah, just thought I'd come and have another go. Just see if I can still do it.
Brilliant. Well, you've obviously proved that you can, so we'll see you some more in race 3 hopefully. And Paul, that looked like immense fun for you out there at the front once Tony pulled off, but did you see what happened with him?
Well, got to the first corner, Phil's, I think he must have broke a joint or something on his suspension, and the wheel came off, I just managed to get round him, and the rest is history. I just got up there and went for it.
It was a brilliant race.
Really good race, yeah, it's really good.
Pony.
Don't know what to say, do you?
I don't know what to say.
Neither do I, to be honest with you. Got a great, pre-gridded up, and I had to pull off because there was a problem with the car. Nick, my dad, managed to run over and sort it out for me. Got it going, got to grid just in time, got away cleanly. Jake had a problem, so there was no one next to me, so I got away beautifully. I was leading, quite comfortable. I did have Paul Hudson behind me, but you know, I was comfortable, you know. And then it happened again, push the accelerator, and it's come out where it joins, and stuck it flat out into a corner, so I just had to turn it off and put my head down and walk back to the pits.
And Team Turner looking for a nut and a hay bale. Open Superlight race number 2 then. Phil Lee goes off pole position with Duncan Macbeth and Danny Whitney. On row 2 is Charlie Wellborn with Simon Nutter and Alan Henley, and on row 3 is Paul McNamara with Colin Griffiths and Ken Walton completing the lineup.
Well, this lot affectionately know each other as a bunch of nuts, so they'll all be chucking it at the first turn. Depending on who gets there first will depend on who comes out the other side. Hopefully they'll all get away cleanly. Good start from Simon Nutter in the pink one there further back, but Charlie Wellborn forgot to brake there, and he tipped into the back of Colin Griffiths, I think, there, who we're on board with. Charlie's managed to get off and disappear off into the distance, but
oh dear.
Colin Griffiths has a very wonky looking front left there. So
I think he needs to get his tracking check there, actually.
Yep, he'll definitely be going off to one of the high street providers of tracking services. Maybe some new wishbones required on the front of that car. But unfortunately for Colin Griffiths, that's his race 2 done and dusted. But that man in the 150 machine, Duncan Macbeth, has got himself into second place, but Phil Lee, I think, managed to get through the first turn unmolested there, and he's disappeared off into the distance.
Well, I mean, he obviously cleared up in race number 1 in the end there, just by keeping his nose clean, and Duncan Macbeth going to give chase here, but Danny Whitney, good to see him really having a challenge.
That is number 46, and I think that's Alan Henley in number 46, coming under the pressures from the aforementioned Charlie Wellborn, and given Charlie's attempt at passing Colin Griffiths before, diving up the inside, no contact on that one. Brilliant pass from Charlie Wellborn. Charlie, one of those drivers who's come into the championship this season, and his pace has built slowly from race weekend to race weekend, and that was a brilliant clean pass.
Yeah, I thought they had actually just bumped wheels just a tad, but no, pretty clean on the whole, and just a good little battle there as they're chasing Simon Nutter there now, just getting onto the back of his toe, and just drifting out wide there actually, Charlie Wellborn, and I think he's got back on the circuit, but it didn't seem to cost him actually, but I'm sure he left the circuit.
He did actually, he just missed the cone that was sort of marking the edge of the circuit, but using all of the available tarmac is definitely the phrase that pays for Charlie Wellborn, and he's got massive power. He's just driven past Simon Nutter there as if Simon was going backwards. That's amazing.
Yeah, it really was, but Simon had a bit of a mixed bag really up at Teesside in the last round. There was one race where he went straight on and clipped the sort of rhino barrier that's on the inside, is just oversliding it completely and really hindering Mark's race there. But then it looked like, it's all going on here. Alan Henley seemed to get stuck there, and it almost looked like the track had been graded in some way, and a big mound of dirt and dust that just slowed him down like a gravel trap there.
Yeah, well, it's quite windy here today, and as you can see, it's sunny as well. So the combination of sunshine and wind has dried out the dirt section, made it very dusty. So a little bit of water put down, but I think a little bit of a problem where too much water's gone in. Charlie Wellborn pulling into the pits, and some sort of problem there for Charlie. We'll look at Phil Lee. He's just coming down this big fast start-finish straight now, tips it in to the right-hander on the final lap of Superlight Open race number 2, and Phil Lee's done the business, taking the race win in the second race of the day. That's 2 out of 2 for Phil Lee.
Yeah, great race win for him, and talking about capitalising on other people's misfortunes in race 1, put him on pole position for a clean race 2 to just get out there from the start and be pretty unchallenged there in Open Superlight race 2. Duncan Macbeth in second place then, ahead of Danny Whitby in third. Simon Nutter, Alan Henley, Paul McNamara, Charlie Wellborn, Ken Walton and Colin Griffiths, the 9 competitors completing Open Superlight race number 2. Well, let's get down to the paddock for reaction and see if we can catch up with Phil Lee.
Danny,
amazing. Yes.
You look like you enjoyed yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's my lucky number today, isn't it? 3. It's nicely rounded, so why not?
Well, it's sunny. We're at Blyton and it's September, so I mean that doesn't happen that often either. So
perfect weather. The circuit, as I said before, is just awesome. Credit to the people who put it together. It really is so different. So awesome.
Brilliant.
Awesome. It really is good.
Well, best of luck for race 3.
Thank you very much.
That was another good race for you as well. You're still not up in P1, but I'm sure you'll be pushing for it next time.
Trying to hang on to him. A little bit of a problem with hardening in it, popping and spluttering, so I was a bit down on power here and there, but I did what I could. Couldn't quite catch him though. I was getting better on the dirt though. I seem to be liking the dirt section a bit more. There's a couple of lines coming onto you. I think leading the race you've got to be a bit defensive, but second place you can you can chase and hunt him down. You can take a few different lines. Definitely caught him up. I don't know if I could have got past him. He'd have actually made a mistake. Phil don't make mistakes.
What's the problem with the car then? Have you got any idea?
I don't know. I've only just pulled in. I'm going to have a little look. It's sort of missing. So no idea.
Well, best of luck for race 3 anyway. I'm sure we'll see you up there. We'll just try and catch Phil. Phil, can I borrow you over here for a second? No, you're all very excited
just
about the race.
Just having a debrief.
No, that's nothing wrong with that. Talk to me, debrief.
All right, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, no, I got a good start from pole, and it's just, it fell into place really. managed to gap Duncan a bit, and then I made a couple of stupid little mistakes, and he caught me up again and started pushing me, and so I sort of really just concentrated on where I was going and what I was doing, and not worrying about what he was doing, you know. So yeah, it was a good race.
Well, I'm glad Phil Lee was quicker off the mark in the race. Great victory for Paul Hudson, taking the win in 650 race 2, and Phil Lee too in the open class. Let's see how the drivers get on in 650 race 3 after the break.
The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com. The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com.
Welcome back to Blyton. It's 650 Superlight race number 3. Paul Hudson, the man in pole position, with Ian Biswell and Anthony Jackson on the front row. Tim Page, Joe Walton and Sadie Redfern on row 2. On row 3 is Danny Kerwood with Wayne Stockbridge and Michael Bradbury. On row 4 is Andrew Crombie with Gordon Knox and Paul Smythe. And on row 5 is Jake Swan with Tony Turner and Phil Redfern. Can you believe those 3 drivers on the 5th row of this race, all with work to do? The top contenders really in this championship. So this will be a cracker, Luke.
This is going to be an absolute rip snorter of a race, because we've got 2 of the top drivers, or 3 of the top drivers in this championship, all coming off the back of the grid. And I don't think we've seen that at any point previously this season. So this
like
one
a reverse grid race. This
is almost like a reverse grid race that we see in things like British Touring Car Championships, and you can see the sort of starts that are going on. Tony Turner up the inside manages to make up about 5 places. There's all sorts of dodgems and bumpy cars, carnage. Poor old Phil Redfern's up against the barrier on the inside. That's not great. His daughter Sadie Redfern's there just in the inside. So that was a case of 13 into 2 won't go, and let's hope everybody's okay.
Well, Phil Redfern caught up there. I think Jake Swan was going around the outside. I'm not sure what happened to him. Sadie Redfern retiring from the race. Probably Phil too as well. I think Tony Turner saw too as well. So whether he's away cleanly, I'm not sure. But at the moment, Paul Hudson getting away, and pretty lucky to be well clear of that, because that was absolute chaos. A few other drivers involved in that too.
Yeah, they did. There is an old adage, isn't there, really, that you can't win it on the first lap, but you can not finish the race on the first lap. And I think there was a bit of that going on there. Maybe a little bit too much ambition into the first turn. And some of the guys coming off the back of the grid used to being first into the first turn, and you can't necessarily do it from the back of the grid. So unfortunately, all went a bit Pete Tong on that one. Hopefully everybody is A-OK back in the paddock if they weren't able to continue. But 41, Anthony Jackson in 3rd place at the moment.
Yeah, and in 4th place, Jake Swan working his way through, so he did manage to sort of get clear. I think he may have vaguely been involved in that out the offset, but well done to him, and just incredible to think he was so far down. Phil Redfern's going as well, so his daughter Sadie's retiring, as we saw in the pink Superlight just in the foreground there, but Phil Redfern is going, so good to see these drivers competing in this. We're riding on board then with Jake Swan, having a look then at Anthony Jackson, the man ahead of him. He's going to be steering his way through. Don't forget, of course, Jake Swan finished in the final position in last place in the last race after changing Superlights and a sprint back to the paddock as well. Completely unprecedented, but very entertaining for us to see.
Yeah, fantastic performance from Jake. I think he started, was it 13th on the grid or something, and after 1 lap he was up into 5th place already. So just the sort of day Jake Swan's been having, a little bit topsy-turvy, up and down ski, but there he is currently all over the back of number 41, Anthony Jackson, and now challenging to try and get himself up into 4th place, and Anthony's got work to do here. Last of the late Jake breakers, Jake Swan up the inside into the right-hander at the end of the start finish straight. Brilliant breaking out manoeuvre there from Jake Swan, and Anthony Jackson was probably thinking, how did he do that?
Well, just look how tidy he was. He didn't lose any traction. There wasn't an understeer, there wasn't an oversteer going into that corner. It was absolutely perfect going into that 90-degree right.
Yeah, and the way he's going, Jake Swan probably got his eye on seeing if he can force the issue and get all the way to the front. But there's a bit of a battle going on into that left-hander, and I think number 113 there was that Ian Biswell coming? No, Ian's further up the field.
It was Paul Smythe actually.
Yeah, Paul Smythe coming under some pressure from not sure. Was that number 47 trying to go around the outside him, so that was...
So never mind that, we've got Danny Kerwood and Joe Walton having a tussle here, and it'll all be over if we blink on this as well too. But Joe just oversliding it, trying to get that inside line, not quite touching wheels with Danny Kerwood, but having a pretty good go at getting as close as he can there. And Ian Biswell having a ding-dong with number 41 here, Anthony Jackson, as well.
Yeah, I think that's Gordon Knox just behind them as I was trying to sort that one out. There's Tony Turner, so he's still going with Phil Redfern behind him, so those two starting off the back row. And another job where Phil Redfern's really managed to get the power down up the inside. He's got himself sorted out, he knows where that blue groove is. He's got past Tony Turner, and now he's trying to chase down the man in front of him, who I think is number 69, and that is Tim Page.
Yeah, great battling here.
Ian Biswell there.
Then we're battling, or looking at with number 33. Massive oversteer for him, Paul Smythe. And, problems too for Joe Walton there. He's done exactly the same thing just on the corner before.
It's synchronised spinning here at Blyton today.
It really is. What a pair of Muppets they'll feel like. Unbelievable.
I don't think they'll...
nothing, absolutely
don't
nothing.
think they'll... Joe Walton's got himself going again, so he's the least of the spinning class guys here. Managed to get himself sorted out, but that man in the number 4 machine is Paul Hudson. He's at the front, and Jake Swan is in second place and trying to force the issue to get into first.
This is just incredible, isn't it, from Jake?
Emphatic performance from Jake Swan, and it would be quite an achievement. Oh, there's the checkered flag. Unfortunately, no opportunity for Jake Swan to get the win, but a brilliant performance nevertheless.
Well, he's failed. He can't go from last place to first place in one race. Paul Hudson taking the win for 650, race number 3. Of course, I'm kidding. A brilliant effort from Jake Swan to get through to second. Incredible driving from him. Ian Biswell taking third ahead of Anthony Jackson, Danny Kerwood, Tim Page, Phil Redfern, Tony Turner, Joe Walton and Michael Bradbury, completing what has to be the most epic and crazy 650 race 3 I've ever seen. You can tell we're coming down to the business end of the season. Let's try and get some reaction in the paddock.
Ian, congratulations, third in race 3. How are you feeling?
Quick. Yeah, good. It was a good race. A bit tight, but got a good start. And then was pushing hard, trying to stay with Paul. But then when I saw Jake behind me, I was defending, trying to keep him behind. But when he got by me, I ended up going off and dropping back to 4th. But managed to get back up to 3rd. So yeah, pleased with that.
Congratulations. And it looks like there's been some interesting racing out there for pretty much everyone today. How have you found the track?
It's very good actually. We're running it the opposite way around to normal, but works really well and really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's really good that way around. Quite like it.
It seems to be really mixing things up, particularly with the Superlites. The start of that race, everyone was lucky to get away from as well.
Yeah, I got a good start and was second in the first one. Somebody hit me up the back pretty hard, and I could see in my mirrors cars going off, but just kept my head down and kept going. So, yeah, that was good.
Well, congratulations, and we've got a second, Jake. How did you find that race? You probably enjoyed it. It's slightly less stressful for you than race 2?
It was, most definitely. I was lucky enough I started in 13th and got up to 2nd, so I can't really complain. I was lucky enough to miss all the carnage, dive my way around it, so no, I was quite happy with that, most definitely.
And how's the car then? Because obviously this won't have been the car that you originally set up for today.
No, the other car, unfortunately, the fuel pump broke, so back to this car, and it was right though, all things considered. I can't really complain, can I? From 13th to 2nd, it'd be silly not to.
How's it affected your championship today then? Have you any idea?
I don't know. I haven't gone back to sat and worked it all out, but I'm hoping not too bad.
Well, best of luck. We'll see you at Three Sisters.
Thank you very much.
Paul, well done to you. You've been mixing it up yourself, let alone the track today.
Yes. Had a really good start and stayed there all the way. Jake come through from the back and I could see him catching me, but just managed to stay in front. Don't know how, but I did. I've had a really good day. Yeah, really happy.
So incredible racing from Jake Swan today. The 650 standings, he's still leading the championship, 640 points to Anthony Jackson's 603, and Tony Turner in third with 573. So some great driving from Jake, not quite doing enough to take the win in the third race of the 650 class today. Paul Hudson taking the win. Join us again for the Open Race 3 after this break.
The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com. The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com.
Welcome back to Blyton for the penultimate round of the British Superlite Championship. Phil Lee on the front row for Open Superlite Race 3 with Duncan Macbeth and Danny Whitney. On row 2 is Simon Nutter with Alan Henley and Paul McNamara. On row 3 is Charlie Wellborn with Ken Walton and Colin Griffiths.
So the drivers on the grid and ready to go for the final Open Superlite race of the day, and we've got another front runner going off the back row, so it'll be interesting to see how Colin Griffiths gets on in this race after Jake Swan managed to get himself up into second place. So that's the challenge for Colin Griffiths in the 650s. Jake Swan got to second, now Colin in the Opens, got to see if he can do the same.
I was just going to say, the 650s making the Opens look a bit tame so far today. Paul McNamara, problems for him again, spinning it round, but plenty of action still going on in this one as Phil Lee getting the advantage over Duncan Macbeth in second place. We're riding on board with our race leader though here.
Yeah, Phil Lee looking to try and make it 3 out of 3, which would be nice. As we said earlier, Duncan Macbeth managed to do that earlier in the season here at Blyton, so I would imagine Duncan will be quite keen to stop Phil managing to equal that little accolade that was nailed on earlier in the season by Duncan Macbeth. So into the dirt section,
contact there.
Duncan Macbeth making no doubt in Phil Lee's mind that he wants past.
Simon Nutter up into third place as well, so good to see Simon at the races in this one. Now drifting pretty wide there, I thought, for a second, Phil Lee. I thought he was going to leave a gap open for Duncan to have a challenge here, and he moves out of the slipstream. He's having a look at the inside. Duncan not able to make a challenge on Phil Lee, and that's what he does. Straight up the inside, it's curtains for Phil Lee as Duncan Macbeth moves into first place.
Yeah, unfortunately, Duncan Macbeth was more than equal to Phil Lee's task there, and he managed to just thread the needle there, a bit like you do when you're pulling out the seeds of a pomegranate. No problem for Duncan Macbeth to get himself through into first place there, and Phil Lee definitely blew it and outbraked himself, Chris.
Absolute fantastic move. I thought he'd actually bottled out of that one. Actually, a sensible man probably would have done an incredible move from Duncan Macbeth there, and absolutely defiant to take the lead in this.
Yeah, I think Phil Lee was probably doing what we've talked about Tony Turner doing in the 650 class, looking in his mirrors to try and see where Duncan was, and his braking point caught up with him and passed him, and then he was like, oh dear, I'm running wide.
Now Colin Griffiths locked in battle with Danny Whitney. Whitney at the moment with the advantage in the 56 car, and well, I'm not sure if that was at the back there, just bringing up the rear there, but yeah, Phil Lee and Colin Griffiths battling out. So too Simon Nutter having a look at Phil Lee as Colin Griffiths moves out of the slipstream, has to lock up the brakes. You see the smoke from the tyres there, and yeah, Colin not really got an answer to Danny Whitney at the moment. He's making that Superlight about as wide as an Arctic lorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's Alan Henley is just in the back of that shot there in the number 46 Superlight. He's now a bit out of the way of these two, but Colin Griffiths trying to force his way through the field. He's now got number 56 Danny Whitney to get past, but as we've said before, Danny's been around for a while. He knows the quickest way around these circuits. Whether that bad back's just slowing him down a little bit in recent seasons remains to be seen, but Colin Griffiths certainly trying to force the issue, so Danny Whitney's got a tiger on his tail here, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's something else he's feeling behind him. I think a few taps from Colin Griffiths there is he's just nudging him out of the way and really putting the pressure on Danny Whitney here, and well, you can just see the pace that Colin's got, sort of throwing it into the corners and having to stop the Superlight. Danny just riding or driving a little bit tidier at the moment, and just incredibly defensive. Every point counts here, it seems, as Colin Griffiths going wide out, braking himself, going very, very deep. Bit of understeer there, it's cost him.
Yeah, you can see, as we just said, you know, Colin's looking, he's driving inside, outside, looking for the gap, but Danny Whitney's always been tidy on the tarmac, and just not really feeling the pressure or the pinch down the smooth stuff, that fast line into that right-hand turn, and Danny Whitney just not bothered, just I'm here, I'm staying where I am, and you're not going to get around me.
Well, the thing is, you know, this is certainly in the last few seasons that I can remember Danny Whitney's best you know, championship result really is Duncan Macbeth just lapping
Paul McNamara there in the 67 machine. Paul, fair dues, just getting out of the way of the championship leader and race leader. And actually, speaking of championship leader, there is the possibility that Duncan Macbeth, if things finish for him the right way, he could actually potentially maybe even tie this championship up if he wins this race.
finish. I think he has to finish this race. He has done. He's just taken the British Championship, and donuts from him as well.
I think that's a celebration, maybe.
Was that a little celebration or a little crash after just winning the British Championship? Duncan Macbeth mathematically now does have enough points with his 35 points for Open Superlight Race 3 to take the British Championship, even if he doesn't compete in the last round. Phil Lee taking second, Simon Nutter third ahead of Colin Griffiths, Danny Whitney, Alan Henley and Paul McNamara. Well done to Duncan Macbeth. Let's see if we can get down to the paddock for a reaction with him, as well as the second and third place drivers in Open Superlight Race number 3.
Simon, third in race 3, congratulations.
Thank you.
How'd you find it out there?
It's good fun, yeah, doing a reverse circuit, yeah, I'm glad Nora's done that. Been a good day really, weather's been nice, so looking forward to the next round now.
Three Sisters the next one, you had a bit of a mare last time, didn't you?
I did, yeah, but I think car's alright now, so we should have a good time there and some good racing with these guys.
Brilliant, well, best of luck, well done today, best of luck for Three Sisters. Let's catch up with Phil Lee. Phil, you've had another good day today, how are you feeling?
Tired now. Yeah, no, that was another good race. I just made one mistake, just enough, and it let old Speedy here through, and that was it, done job, you know. I just couldn't quite hang on to his coattails then, so I'm going to blame tyres, because that's what we all do. So, you know, my tyres had gone off, and well, you know. But no, it was a good race. He capitalised on my mistake like I did on his in the first race, and that's the way it goes. Sometimes you know, well, I won't say what I was going to say because it's...
Yeah.
But
we'll
you know
leave it
what I
there.
mean. Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
congratulations, Phil.
Thank
well done
you.
on your second
Thank
place. Duncan, you won the race and then you binned it. What happened?
What do you mean binned it? It was
Well,
a celebration crash. I was a little bit excited to win that one. Phil has been the measure of me all day, and I was buzzing inside that cockpit. I don't know if you could tell. Even now, I'm still shaking with adrenaline. It was a wicked race. It's all about tyres, isn't it? Wet tyres on a totally dry day, and I just got the extra grip on the dirt. You know I'm good on the dirt. Anyway, put the wet tyres on. Here we go. Race win.
Well, congratulations. Where's that leave you in the championship now?
I'm still up top. Phil's my closest competitor. He's got a couple of points on me today, only 3 or so, but I think I'm a good 40 ahead. So unless I really screw up and the car lets me down in the last round, I think I shall take the title this year.
Well, he has done. It's a mathematical certainty, even by dropping the lowest point scoring round. A celebratory crash. I've heard it all now. The open standings, Duncan Macbeth, 659 points after this round, ahead of Phil Lee, 549, and Danny Whitney in third with 497. So some fantastic racing. Duncan Macbeth, I don't think he's even realised it, doing enough for the British Championship, out to the final corner to take the race win in the open class. That's all we've got time for. Join us again for the final round next time at Three Sisters.
The British Superlite Championship, sponsored by wanttoliveafloat.com.